A GPT can't create another GPT. Rather, a human has to create something which is more bigger and more opulent and more colossal than a GPT.
You can ask me about my belief system. I can ask you about your belief system. It can be not believing in anything.
When we talk with respect to neuroscience, it's neurologist, neurosurgeon, and neuroscientist many of the times from research and academic point of view, which might be different every time, not following a certain pattern.
Can be attributed to the brain if something kind of a necrosis, degeneration, death of cells, neurons are affected, there is a hematoma.
Not about individual knowledge, it's all about the collaboration and synergizing about different stuff and coming all together. Like, for example, you're from the medical background, I'm from the non-medical background, then too we are having a discussion and we are getting to know each other, not from the perspective of both of our personalities, but rather both of our disciplines. We bring different values, and it's more of a synergizing experience
for the nervous system, which is responsible for all the connections and transmission of information from one part of the other.
What exact dogma or principle is which make it so instantaneous, so spontaneous, so impulsive, or take a different road altogether, even without knowing the reason of why you have took that, just out of the blue, just based on your intuitions and emotions.
Exactly. Intuitions, emotions, sentiments, these are not always based on the rationality.
Yes. Artificial intelligence or machine learning is one of the most hot and trending topic these days, which has been discussed everywhere. In 2026, this is one topic that if somebody who is having no idea about technology, then too he might have, or he must have heard about this topic, artificial intelligence. But if I talk about the core principles and values which has been at the back end of all this artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, large language models, which is state-of-the-art technology these days. It's about neurons. It's about neural networks which has been given by nature to us in our mind. To start a conversation, Dr. Vihan, it's really important to understand nature and its blessing and how nature has designed everything through which human get inspired and design his own artificial utility, instrumentation, and equipment, which could be an airplane, which could be a steam engine, which could be a submarine, which goes beneath the sea levels, and a lot of things. To start a conversation, Dr. Vihan, please try to explain in a very layman, in a very common, in a very simple terminology about neurons and its role and how powerful are they in the human brain.
Right. So axons, or firstly I'll talk about the neurons, and there are different parts of a neuron. Neuron is basically the structural functional unit of the nervous system of the human body. It is the core element, or I would say the most basic fundamental part. Like any matter can be divided into several layers. It's different forms of it. So the most basic form is an atom. It cannot be further divided. Every matter, anything that has mass and an occupied space, is called as a matter. The functional unit, the last most basic and fundamental functional unit of it, is called as an atom that can exist independently. Similarly, cell is the basic structural function unit of the human body, and in case of, there are different kind of organ systems in the human body. So there is the nervous system, which is responsible for all the connections and transmission of information from one part of the other to the other. Even if it is a byway, it is not just towards a unilateral side.
It's a two-way process.
It's a two-way process. So it is something that you inform the brain about a reception of some stimulus, or the brain instructs you in response to that reception, or something on an active side, that yes, do or perform that movement or do that activity, or do some changes, anything, any command that the brain says. So when we divide the entire nervous system into, or I try to find out what's the smallest thing that can exist independently in the form of a cell, is a neuron.
In a human body.
In a human body. For specifically for the nervous system, neuron is the structural function unit of the human body.
So let me put it this way. So as example, You said that in nature or in matter, the simplest monomer is atom. In the same fashion, in human mind, the simplest single unit has been called as a neuron, which has been responsible for doing all of the actions, all of the decision making, all of the monitoring that's been given as a command from the brain to different parts of the body, and then it's been executed independently without being dependent on some other source except neuron, and by using different physical attributes of a human body. Yeah, that's what I can got to understand till now. All right, but at some point of time, we think that as humans, we see through the eyes, we sense through the hand, we hear through the ears, we feel the taste through the tongue, and multiple different sensory organs. But since you have proposed this idea about neurons, that this is the main backbone which has been responsible for each and every action that a human body performs. But tell me one thing. For example, if I'm touching hot coffee, and as I touch it, all of a sudden I just remove my hand. If I walk on something which is very hot, I just jump off. So what exact dogma or principle is which make it so instantaneous, so spontaneous, so impulsive for a neuron to just do it in less than a blink of an eye? How it works around? Like how so much processing power has been given to the neuron? Like how it works?
So from the physiological standpoint, it is the fastest communication conduit of the body. It is built in a way, or if you see the anatomy, or anatomy is the study of the structure of something. So it is the logos or the logy or study or science, whatever you call. So when you see the structure of a neuron, like I cannot make the diagram of it, I don't have the tools at the moment, but it's just like there is a, the dendrites, which is the reception part, having some kind of, like if you see my hand, this is the part of the top part of the axon, this neuron, and here are the dendrites, which are the extensions to receive the stimulus or receive the information to then the perception is with the brain. Now it flows down to through the body of the neuron. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. And then in the end you have the axon, and then you have the axon terminals. So again, these kind of extensions are present at the end of the neuron, at the end of the axon, which are called axon terminals. So here you are taking the information, you're receiving the information, and then passing it to the next neuron.
Okay.
So
it's sort of a chain structure.
It's sort of a chain structure. It is all kind of like, you can consider this as a relay race.
Okay.
So somebody is coming and passing you some object, giving it to you. You're running, going to the next one. So no one's running here. It's only the impulses, the electrical impulses that runs from one neuron to the other. Now, how fast it is, because again, because of the structure, it has got Schwann cells, myelin sheath, nodes of Ranvier. These all like synaptic junctions. So these are some of the parts of a neuron. So at dendrites or dendrons, it will receive the information. Dendron is the top part. Then dendrites is the extension. Dendrites receive the information through dendrons. It then travels, and there are some points. So it allows and enables the impulses to jump through those. Wow. That's why here comes the answer to how fast it is.
How fast it is.
What makes it fast?
Yeah.
So it is because of the structure, as I mentioned. So it jumps from one node of Ranvier to the other, and then goes down, and then from the axon terminals it passes immediately to the next one, next dendrites, because they are ready to receive it. So they don't run, rather the impulses are facilitated to run.
Okay, so is it right to say that neurons is the main backbone and powerhouse in the human mind, which has been responsible for doing every single action that's been done by a human mind?
So there are ganglions, there are glial cells, there are ganglions, there are neurons. So it is all a collection within the nervous system. Something acts as a matrix, something acts as the components in the entire ecosystem
so
of it.
Let me put it this way. So is it right to say if for example, in a human cell, we got Golgi apparatus, we got mitochondria, we got cytoplasm, we got nuclei, we got ribosomes, and many other things. So in the same fashion, in a human brain, there are neurons and different things, axon dendrites, which has been composed of like a neuron has been
constitute the
composed, it contributes to
neuron.
create a complete neuron, and in the
yeah.
same fashion, there are multiple other things.
They're supportive cells to the
Supportive
neuron.
cells.
Alone neuron cannot also function.
or
No,
function.
it can exist or function. I say because the ecosystem facilitates it in a better fashion. To make it quick.
It's more for synergy, right?
Synergy. It
synergy.
works in a synergy. It is a phenomena. This kind of a creation has happened inside the body, and that's why our spine, brain, this is called the central nervous system. Rest all of it is like a broad classification. If we see of the nervous system, it goes into central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. So periphery is of the body. So wherever the neurons are innervating the muscles, different distal parts of the body.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good. One more thing, since I was reading and talking to a doctor recently, and I was discussing stroke, yeah, and when a stroke has been, is been influenced or it's been experienced by a person, all of a sudden he's unable to walk, he's unable to perform all of the locomotion activity that he used to do earlier, or even many of the times he's not independent, and he requires someone to assist and do the daily task. So in that way, I want to ask with respect to neurons that when a stroke has been experienced by a person, at that point of time, is it the neurons which have been affected, or is it something else? Because we need to understand, if my right hand is not working, is it about the hand, or is it about the bones, or is it about the blood flow, or is it more about the brain and neurons which has been struck by a stroke, and that due to that reason I am unable to perform some actions? Yeah.
So in this case, there has to be several things ruled out before answering this kind of a question, because there is a very complex multiple parts being involved. It is not something singular that you can straight away answer about. It can be attributed to the brain if something kind of a necrosis, degeneration, death of cells, neurons are affected, there is a hematoma, or there is a clot, or maybe a thrombus, or some movement of emboli has come from some part and affected ultimately some part of the brain.
All these are problems and diseases related to brain.
Some of the related to brain. What I just mentioned.
For our audience, if you can just use some common terminologies, which
clots.
is more easy.
Clots. Aggregation of the platelets. Platelets is there is a blood composition. Blood has got many elements to it. One of the element is called platelets. Now platelets must have aggregated somewhere, and they clubbed together, or maybe now they started moving, hit the brain. Maybe because of the high blood pressure, it might have happened. Some capillary burst out happened, or blood leakage happened, or something inside the brain that affected your brain. Or where else, if the person was hit by the stroke for any reason, it can be ischemic, or maybe just a TIA, or maybe hemorrhagic stroke. Different types of strokes these are. The person had a fall on an outstretched hand. So now this is a local thing there. Okay, so it is not always necessarily that. Though in case of stroke, primary reason is in the brain. Whereas in case of, if this is another complication, that's what I'm just mentioning, that if person had a fall on the outstretched hand and some of the nerve got impinged, or some damage or injury, or maybe some inflammation happened, so that can also contribute to this.
So it's more of like that you filter out and then come to a conclusion. Like it could be
it is after all the imaging tests that the neurologist and neurosurgeons recommends to decide and conclude what is the actual etiology or reason.
You just mentioned regarding neurologists, yeah? When we talk with respect to neuroscience, it's neurologist, neurosurgeon, and neuroscientist many of the times from research and academic point of view. I just want to understand the difference, like mainly about neurosurgeon. If I talk about neurosurgeon, it's very obvious that neurosurgeon, which has been responsible to perform a neurosurgery, which is very obvious from the keyword and the name by its own. But if I talk specifically about neurologist or neurology, I want to understand more about it, like what exactly neurology or neurologist is or what he does?
So the neurologists are the specialists of neurology is a science study of the neurons,
Is it
of
different
the
from
nervous
neuroscience?
system.
Is it different from
No,
neuroscience?
no, no, no. It is a neuroscience.
It's kind of same.
It's the same. Neuroscience is the same thing. It is more into the medical part of it, not just understanding the things. Rather, it is about approach towards the treatment, learning how to diagnose about it, learning how to prescribe the medicines accordingly, dosimetry of the medicines, for how long the patient has to take it, what sort of reviews have to be done. Primarily, I forgot to mention assessments. This is the most important part while concluding certain diagnosis. So neurologists are the expert neurophysicians. They are the key people to see as the first line of to draft the first line of treatment for any stroke hit patient. Whereas neurosurgeons are the expert surgeons who perform the surgeries in the brain, who perform surgeries in the spine, wherever any part of the neuron, any part of the nervous system is being affected.
All right. So it's neurologist is more into the
Neurophysician and neurosurgeon.
it's more of a prescription-based approach that he does in
Yes.
comparison to the practical
One is medicine,
operation and surgery.
yeah. Whereas
Yeah.
neurologist also performs some kind of procedures like spinal tap. So that is a different thing.
It's not considered as a surgery.
That's not necessarily a surgery.
Any other discipline. I always wonder, as a non-medical, that how complex or how tough it would be to perform a brain surgery or some surgery which has been related to brain, because we are having skull and then we are having like different layers, as you were telling that day. Tell me about the approach of a neurosurgeon if he has to perform a surgery which has been related to brain and he has to reach to a specific point in the brain. Is it like that he just cut apart everything and then operate, or it's more like creating a hole and going to the exact point? What's the approach for a neurosurgeon to perform a surgery?
Well, currently the medical sciences advancements are quite high, and still a lot of researches that are happening, and only because of that there is a lot of tech advancements. Technologies have been built so that all sorts of surgeries or most of the surgeries can be done through a minimally invasive technique. So it is just a small hole or incision, or with the minimum ones, camera guided, so that things can go inside with the live
live broadcast of all of the videos that's been coming up
inside. So all these things can be monitored by the doctors, and so that there is less of cuts and or things on the patient's body.
So can we say that in comparison to last 20 years,
though it is quite complex, the neurosurgeries are little complex,
but can we say that in comparison to the last 20 years or 30 years of a surgery, these days the I would say the precautions and every measure that's been taken made it more robust and less prone to errors and less prone to damages, and something which is going off has been reduced. The risk has been reduced. Is it like that?
Yes, definitely. It has also complemented and made it easy for the expert neurosurgeons, to avoid the complication side of the surgery.
Perfect.
Precision is there in the hands of the doctors, but these technologies also add value significantly to prevent the complications.
Though I would be doing a different video with you about neurons and neural networks, which has been used in artificial intelligence, but since you being a medic went from medical background, I want to understand one thing that you are seeing these days regarding artificial intelligence, the rise of technology and robotics and the Internet of Things and every other related discipline. As a medical, what do you think that at some point of time, can a machine mimic human completely based on your understanding of neurons and complete nature of human? Is it possible that at some point of time, your raw thoughts, your real intuitions, I want to hear without any sophistication, you can say as you want, that at some point of time, a machine can mimic, replicate, duplicate, and portray as humans are at this point of time, if not in 2026, might be few years after?
The advancements into robotics is huge, and based on that, and also the softwares that are planned into training, or the AI ML. So in these things, yes, the technologies are advancing, and someday, may not be few years, but someday there is a possibility that humanoid robots can be we can see it, right?
And are you saying that it is having, or it would be having the same capacity and understanding like a human cognitive level?
No. Up to certain extent, yes, but like the way you give prompts to Chat GPT, or to any of the AI or large language models or something,
Yeah.
so it gives response exactly to what you have said. So you need to be precise enough to generate certain output. In the similar manner, the robots will be behaving in the same manner. What you plant there, so shall you will reap.
But in this case,
You know better because you come from the AI background.
yeah. So in that space, I want to ask a question. For example, he mentioned regarding at some point of time, if not today, day after, might be few years down the line, that at some point of time it would be that robots and technology and machineries is to a certain extent that it is more of mimicking and like performing like a human. But humans are composed of three things. I'm also bringing a bit of like spiritual angle into it, but I really want to talk about this. Humans are composed of three things, which is a human body, a human spirit, and the human self. The self, which is about likeliness, dislikeliness, inclination, or like rejection, or going towards something, moving away from something. That's the part of self. Spirituality, which is specifically related to spirit. So humans are also having a spirit, which once departs a human body. The same human body is dead and is of no use, right? You are having the heart, you are having the mind, you are having everything, you are having the blood too, which has been stopped, like flowing in the body as a fluid. Tell me your raw emotions that a machine could be smart enough to have the data, and based on the data bank, it can generate responses and give answers. But do you think the natural phenomena of spirit could be inculcated or could be put up as a dogma, as a principle, as a value, as a contribution, as a state in a robot, so it could become eternal, or it could become so concise and precise, and it can juxtapose everything? Is it possible? What do you think?
It looks amazing to think such kind of an advancement, but coming to the sentiments that a human has or built since the birth, like the kind of understanding or comprehension a 5-year-old kid would have would be different from the things that a 10-year would guy would need, or someone in the adolescent age, or somebody again into the complete adulthood, married, or having kids, and so on, the old age. So it is all outcomes that will decide what the person wants as the next step. This cannot be planted immediately in a 5 years or 10 years time, because the machine will remain there, and those sentiments cannot be. I don't think so. Like this is what I believe. Or
Because spirit is invisible.
Yeah.
It's an invisible entity, which is a
data
reality,
bank will remain as the soul or spirit of that machine.
but not a spirit exclusively, which could be put up in machinery. That's
Yeah.
not possible.
Yeah.
Because what happens is that like spirit and that feeling and that emotion is more on a spiritual state and not a physical state. If I ask you, show me your brain, you can't show that.
You can ask me. You can ask me about my belief system. I can ask you about your belief system. It can be not believing in anything, but that machine would definitely continue to believe in the data bank.
Rely on the data that's been fed into it.
Yeah, and it is always subjected to the modifications that the creator of that machine would be able to do at any point of time.
Let me give one example, or one experiment rather, which has been performed in one of the universities. For example, many of the time you are having the idea that whenever you go on the right side, you're right, like right way, right way, right way. If you are having a junction and you are having two pathways, right and left, right and left, right and left, and every time you choose the right pathway, based on the data that's been put up in your mind, that whenever you go on the right side, it always good for you. You get candies, you get chocolates, you get a good restaurant and whatsoever. But sometimes it happens out of the blue that you take left roadway. And if I ask you based on what grounds or what realities or what arguments that you have taken this road, you might not be having answer, but it's just that you have said it was my intuition that took me on the left side today. But in the same scenario, if I treat you as a robot or a humanoid robot, and based on the data bank, you've been given reward on the previous 10 cycles. Every time when you took a right pathway, you were given a treat or a candy or something as a reward. So even if you go next 100 times, you would always choose the right road and not the left one. But which is quite different to the human creativity and human robustness in the mind, that you might take a different road altogether, even without knowing the reason of why you have took that, just out of the blue, just based on your intuitions and emotions.
Exactly.
Which is
Intuitions, emotions, sentiments, these are not always based on the rationality.
Yes.
Whereas the machine will always decide, every single and minute decision will be based on the rationality. It will definitely process the data bank. It will, do its own mathematics. It will do its own algebra. But ultimately, the output will be based on some dogma, theorem, principle. That's it.
Some value.
Some value. Some data point.
Perfect. Which is quite different in the human state. Like as humans, you can do anything. You are so unpredictable. Your probability is not always one. You can do everything. You can crash everything. You are so different that even you as a human can predict yourself.
Yes,
that's a reality.
Every response will be based on what's the input. It will be processed and certain output will be given,
and which might be different every time, not following a certain pattern.
Yes,
which could be different.
Yeah, and output is the ultimate outcome.
Yes.
There is no sense of accomplishment for the machine also. So that's what I am programmed to do. So even if you have praise, maybe if you say that you have to say thank you if somebody gives you an appraisal or something, then it would say that, okay, thanks for the appreciation.
And if in that case, if I put up some abusive word, even that could be outputted, even based on appreciation.
Based on the dictionary, it has.
The dictionary that's put up, for sure. All right.
Or maybe it may ask you the meaning of it if it doesn't have that.
Quite possible. Quite interesting discussion so far. I want to also throw some light on the subject. At this point of time, as humans, we are using too much of AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, many tools, which is more into using your hands and not your mind, which is more into typing and not thinking, which is more into just juggling around the words and not brainstorming. Tell me, ChatGPT usage or access of ChatGPT usage, is it a pro or a con? Is it an advantage or disadvantage? Is it a really some benefit to the society or in general to humans, or is it just that we are just getting carried away by new tools, and at some point of time, if ChatGPT has been removed from our lives, we are handcuffed, we are having enough?
So definitely there are pros and cons both to it. So as you mentioned that one day if the GPT is taken away, what would people do? So that is something that people must be aware of when they are using it quite regularly and for everything nearly, which is evident, even in the researches. There is a high surge of use of AI tools to gather information in less time. So again, it's about I would say, optimize it so that your brain does not lose out on the creativity aspect of it, and you continue to build something new because somebody has built this.
Yes.
Someone has built this.
Yes.
Someone with a spirit built this.
True. So it's always good to balance things out.
Balance it out.
And you can come with your own creative ideas, and why
Yeah.
not to create something even better than GPT?
Maybe.
And,
Yeah.
and let me tell you one thing. What I believe, that's my core value, that a GPT can't create another GPT. Rather, a human has to create something which is more bigger and more opulent and more colossal than a GPT. It's always about humans. It's always about the natural consensus in natural ideation and logic and rationality of a human mind, which can create different creativity in different creative space out there. It's always about a human mind and not
Absolutely.
a machine. Machine is all about the iteration and reiteration and just performing the same repetitive task every time, and then like generate responses which might be critical, which might be obvious, which might be unobvious, which might be a black box. But as human mind or as humans, we have the capacity to change complete paradigms, but we don't realize that. The metrics. Yeah, one thing, we just came to a point of metrics. It's been said that we live in a matrix. It's all about metrics. We are been predestined. We have been like all of the action that we have been doing. It's been predestined. And for example, if I just like come up to you and just put my hand on you, it was been destined that I do like this. What's your take on this? It might be a bit of off topic, but I really want to hear your thoughts on that. Like, is it all about destiny, or is it about the independence which has been given to a human to do anything based on his own thinking and his own choices? What do you think about that?
Here in this case, I would say the independence is about being righteous. I think so. That's the independence that one has, to be righteous based on common sense.
True. What I think about this is that
Rest is destined because we never know when we were supposed to take birth. We never know when it's gonna end. But all throughout, at least we can not fix a dogma or something to. It's all evolving. It's all changing. So common sense is something which is quite dynamic in nature and will definitely help the humans.
but common sense is very uncommon. Is it like that?
That's yeah,
That's a reality.
evident.
So we live in a civil society, but the civic sense is just absent.
Yeah.
There was no civic sense. I'm not specifically talking about the particular region or society. It's generic global view that humans are not having the
Yeah, it's right not to go into the no entry,
yes,
but people go.
but people go to Europe.
People go there.
And they feel proud about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how. So we started from neurons and neuroscience and neurology,
Psychology,
and
yeah.
we've been to a long space.
Yeah.
It's a long road that
But
we have taken.
the
up.
more of our discussion revolved around the potential of a human brain
Yes.
and what kind of evolution currently in this
Yeah.
21st century, after like almost a quarter we are into, and what we can expect by the end of the next century, what kind of by the end of what advancements we can
Yeah.
see into the health tech space.
Yes.
The technologies that are evolving and advancements the scientists or researchers are working upon, how the human brain can work on
It's
it.
all related here, Dr. Mian.
It's all related into the health tech space.
Yes, and in the next upcoming videos, I really want to talk more about neurons structure, as you were showcasing,
yeah.
and you were trying hard enough. But in the next video, we'll be using a whiteboard to actually draw a neuron. And in comparison to that, I also want to talk with you regarding the neural networks, which has been inspired from a human neurons and all of the components, which is axons and dendrites and synapses and electrical impulses, and how humans used neuron as a structure, as a framework, as a reference point, and designed this complete ecosystem of technology, which has been termed these days as artificial intelligence. I'm really excited for the part to discuss with you in the upcoming videos. Yeah,
Definitely.
it would be
Sure,
great
we
to.
would do
Yeah.
this.
So any last closures from your side for the people or the audience who are listening to us with respect to neuroscience, healthcare, or health tech, or in general, anything that you want to just portray out?
It was quite a comprehensive discussion about the tech and healthcare space or medical science pertinent to the AI, machine learning, neural networks that you deal, because you know a lot more about AI, ML, being a scholar of that field. And we have covered a lot of things and set the target for the next upcoming videos as well, what all things we will be bringing for the viewers. It would be great, like, if we can discuss also if somebody was the bridge between, like, the first person to coin certain name, those people, because they are the actual pioneers from my perspective.
True.
Who brought together the natural thing and the artificial stuff created out of it,
Yeah.
or utilizing the information of it.
True, absolutely. We could for sure talk about that in the upcoming videos, and rather, I'm also exploring new topics and new ideas which has not been put up on YouTube till now, and I really want to talk about that. For example, in comparison to a doctor, how different is the approach of a machine? In comparison to a doctor, how different AI would approach a surgery, and multiple topics. We can also discuss regarding the essence of neural networks with respect to new machinery.
How about if the neurologists and neurosurgeons can, guide the new developments of neural networks in the machine learning space, or advanced AI, something.
What I observed, I also was in a podcast with a neurosurgeon, and what I got to understand that at this point of time, at this juncture in 2026, the clinicians specifically related to hospitals and medical industry are not too much inclined, or they are not too much aware and having knowledge about technology, specifically AI. And in respect to AI specialists and evangelists and technologists, they are not too much into like clinical knowledge. So at this point of time, it's our responsibility and duty for someone to take up and be up in this field and this plane by the topic of which we established this MedX channel by Medicines, to talk about the intersection about technology, healthcare, neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and different stuff which is related to it, because it's the need of the hour.
Yep.
If we really want to create a disruption in a next big thing in this complete space, it's not about individual knowledge. It's all about the collaboration and synergizing about different stuff and coming all together. Like, for example, you're from the medical background, I'm from the non-medical background, then too we are having a discussion and we are getting to know each other, not from the perspective of both of our personalities, but rather both of our disciplines. We bring different values, and it's more of a synergizing experience for me,
and complementing the systems together
to create something
better and eloquent.
More eloquent. So it was great talking with you, Dr. Rian. Thanks for your time,
Sure.
Thanks
to you too.
I appreciate it.
For this initiative.
Look forward to a new video.
Even for the viewers, I would say, like, just stay tuned for anything and everything related to healthcare.
Perfect.
That's what MedX is all about.
Not just specifically to healthcare, but rather healthcare,
Health tech,
and technology,
SaaS platforms, right?
Like, there are endless opportunities.
Yep.
At this point of time. So thank you very much, and let's see you in the next one.
Sure. All right.
Thank you.